I'm Becky L. McCoy, and you're listening to Stories of Unfolding Grace, the podcast about grace during unexpected times. You'll hear from real people dealing with hard stuff, and I hope you'll feel encouraged that you can bravely live through hard stuff too. All right, here it is. This is the episode that we recorded at the live podcast event. First, I want to share with you the audio from the Facebook Live that I did introducing our sponsors. So we just started recording our live podcast, and it wasn't actually recording. So now it's recording. This is why we love theater. So we're here at the live event, and it's been awesome. We shared dinner together, and now there are great desserts, and I'm here with a group of really lovely ladies. Everyone can say hi. Try that, yeah. Oh, great. Yep, they had just as much enthusiasm the first time we tried that. I'm also here with Jen Bayreuther and Nina Buttermore, and they're both going to share on this special episode about seasons that they're in that are exciting and difficult and challenging. But you guys out on social media are going to have to wait to hear their stories later. Before we do that, I just wanted to share about our sponsors. Mom, can I borrow your sponsor list? My mom's here. Isn't that awesome? My mom is so cool. Thanks, Mom.
Hi.
Those are my mom's bangs. So tonight, our sponsors, they are so awesome. Each of these people donated time or goods or other wonderful things to make tonight happen. So the Karama Collection, Jen Bayreuther with LuLaRoe, Shauna Beth Paradiso with Arbonne, Plum Deluxe, which you probably heard Andy Hayes' episode on the podcast, Melissa Mowry from One Mother to Another and her awesome book, Anna Olant with Ostay Call Naturals, Nurture Nest, Panda's Perfectly Posh, Sweet to the Soul Shop, and Magnolia Bakes. These people are so awesome and generous, so please support their businesses. Real quick, I wanted to talk about Karama because they are this excellent organization. What it is basically, if you go to karamacollection.com, you'll see all this amazing jewelry, and they have textiles, scarves, towels, leather goods, all these awesome things, and they're all made by people in Africa, and it gives these artisans an opportunity to learn a living wage, most of them in slums and in extreme poverty. So it's really a really cool organization. The jewelry that we have tonight is from the Kaiberia slum just outside of Nairobi in Kenya. And Christine, who works with Karama, was telling me about the first time she went, and they were going for a tour of the slum, and she had her really cute sandals, and she was looking really good for this trip, and she slipped and fell into a puddle of mud and sewage, and like just the irony of how different their lives are compared to our lives in the States is just pretty incredible. But these are amazing artisans that are making these beautiful pieces, and by people shopping and buying these pieces, those artisans are being able to live and take care of their families, and that's a pretty big deal. I love that Karama it's an African Swahili word for dignity. And so this whole organization is meant to give people dignity. And I think that is just such a cool thing. Each of the pieces of jewelry are recycled. They're recycled metal. Then they're molded, and they're sanded down, and then they're polished 4 times. And they're just like really beautiful. I got in touch with the organization when I was at a conference this summer. And to be able to look at each different piece, they're just so like really pretty. Like, it's so cool that they're coming from literally halfway around the world, and they're just so well thought out and so well planned and well made. The one story I wanted to share with you tonight about Karama is So in this group of artisans that made the jewelry that we've seen tonight, was this man named Steven, and he was running the group of artisans, and he actually passed away in February, and he left a widow and a few small children. So when I first started hearing that story, I'm like, that sounds really familiar. But I'm so lucky to live in a place where I'm taken care of, and I don't now have this fear of being able to survive and live. But Maureen, his wife, and another groups of people in this group of artisans got together, and they figured out not only how to keep the business going, but how to scale it bigger. So now they're producing so much more than they even were when Stephen was alive. And so it's so cool to see his legacy of creating and training this group of artisans that now is making more and creating and training more artisans and caring for more people. And it's just it's really, really, really neat to see all that's going on with this organization and with their artisans. So Karama supports the actual artisans that make the jewelry and the goods, but then they also support an organization called Young Life Africa, and it supports teens by helping them find a faith and developing their leadership skills, and hoping that if these teens can become more grounded people who have leadership skills, they can start to change the country and change the culture. And it's just really cool to see how buying a piece of jewelry can help change a country. That's a really incredible idea. And so I'm really, really thankful to Karama for supporting this event and allowing all of us to be here and allowing us to help support people all over Africa. So a special thing that Karama wanted to let everyone know is that there is a coupon code for the month of September. For everyone who uses this coupon code, you get a percentage off. And I don't have it written down, which is so silly. Clearly, I'm overly prepared. Actually, it's McCoy16SS. So if you go to CaramaCollection.com and put in McCoy16SS through the end of the month of September, you get to save and you get to support people. And that's awesome. So have a great night, everybody in Facebook land. We're going to record an episode right now, and you get to hear it sometime later in the month. Have a great weekend. I get so excited to see people choosing to live bravely and authentically. Each week on Tuesdays and Fridays, I host a Facebook Live event to share more stories of people living bravely, and I want to hear your story too. Join us at facebook.com/Becky L. McCoy. I can only share so much with you here on the podcast, but you can read my story and learn more about living bravely and authentically at my blog, BeckyLMcCoy.com. Stop by and sign up to receive my monthly newsletter. It includes book recommendations and blog posts and podcast episodes you may have missed. Check the show notes for details. All right, well, here's the episode portion of the evening. We recorded this live in my backyard after dinner while we were enjoying lovely desserts. My friends Jen and Nina shared some of their stories, and I know that there are going to be some of you out there that can really identify with the different struggles and celebrations that both of these really brave women are dealing with right now. I'm excited for you to hear their story. Please just comment and share and show them some love, because they were really, really brave to do this. Not only just sharing their story on the podcast, but doing it live in front of a group of people. So I'm really proud of them for doing that. All right, here's my conversation with Jen and Nina. So why don't you ladies just take a second, introduce yourselves, talk about the season that you're in and why it's exciting and why it's hard.
Okay. Do you want to start? You want me to?
You can.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
All right. I'm Nina Buttermore. I am wife to Rob, and I am mom to two beautiful girls. One is in heaven. Her name is Audie. We lost her in labor about 15 months ago. And then my other daughter is Lennox, and she is 5 weeks old. And I actually left her home with Daddy tonight, which is like tearing at my heartstrings, but I'm also like super pleased and just humbled the fact that my husband wants to spend so much time with his daughter and dote on her and love on her. So it's awesome. So I guess just where life has brought us right now is I have pretty much been working until I was able to be employed at the age of about 16. Starting with like odd summer jobs and babysitting and all that stuff, and worked my way through college, got my degree in speech pathology, and I've been working as a speech pathologist for the past 8 years, I believe. It's that long. Nikki, is it that long? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you were looking at me. I don't know.
Huh? It's 6. 7, yeah. And then...
We did the math earlier today, and I was like, you've been out of school for 8 years.
Yep. And then my husband and I decided through a lot of prayer and just the blessing of my contract that I could take a year of child rearing. So I am not going to work for the first time in a very long time, to stay home with my beautiful little girl and just love on her and figure out what life is like at home with her all day long and taking care of my own kid instead of loving on everyone else's children.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, so you have been working and now you're staying home. Yeah.
Which I think is harder.
Yeah.
I'm only a week in right now. But I was telling someone else earlier tonight, I'm like, you know what? I think I got more done when I was at a job than I do staying at home with her.
Yeah.
But it's just shifting those priorities of my job, quote unquote, at home is to love on her and to care for her and to nurture her. And there is that struggle of, but the dishes need to be done and the living room needs to be cleaned and the dog needs to be fed and the dog needs to be played with. And, but it's definitely challenging, but awesome at the same time. I'm really enjoying the transition. My husband was lucky enough to get 4 weeks off himself. So that was just a really sweet time for our family. And then, of course, everyone started school this week, and he went back to work this week. So it was like, bam, all right, here it goes. Cold turkey.
Yeah.
All your support systems have been stripped away. But, yeah, the beginning of the week was great, and then Friday morning hit, and I was like, okay, this is reality. You know, nothing went well. I couldn't hold her right. I couldn't feed her right. I couldn't, you know, she just wanted 18 different things all at once, and then she didn't know what she wanted herself, and I didn't know what to do for her, but it was fun trying to learn her and figure all that out. And yeah, much different. You know, one morning I woke up and it was 9:30. I'd gotten out of the shower. She was still napping, and I looked at the clock and realized the time. I was like, I would have been showered, fed, you know, had the dog walked already, had a group of students, probably had a meeting already. I'm just getting out of bed and it's 9:30. Okay, this is a new reality.
Yeah, man, so many changes. So, Jen, your story is a little bit of the other side of the coin. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your season that you're in?
Yeah, so I am Jen Bayreuther. I'm married to Peter, and we have 3 little girls.
Pete's about to be so excited that you just dropped his name on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. He's a movie star. So I have Hannah, who just turned 5, and Olivia, who is about to turn 3 this week, and then a 3-month-old Linnea. So we are in the middle of transitioning from 2 to 3, which is a challenge all on its own. And then we also decided to launch our small business selling LuLaRoe pretty much the same week we had our baby. Because why not, right? So I literally got 500 pieces of clothing the same week that I went to the hospital to have this baby. But it's been awesome, and it's just been a really fun time for our family, working together with my husband Peter. We do almost everything LuLaRoe together, so that's just really fun. We do a lot of Facebook Live and sell clothing to our Facebook group, which is very scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun to do it together. Like I would never, I give you props for doing it, Becky, because I would never do it alone. The first time I'm like, Peter, we're doing this together. You're going to sell these leggings.
Yeah. And like a plug for them, they're hilarious. Sometimes I go on their Facebook Lives, not because I'm going shopping, but because like I need a good giggle. And it's so fun.
Yeah.
So definitely follow them because it's awesome.
Yeah, so we're just in the middle of lots of transitions, launching this small business, and then I'm also managing going back to work. My maternity leave just ended, so I work 2 mornings a week as an occupational therapist. So that's been keeping me really busy as well. So just juggling lots of different hats.
Mm-hmm. So, Nina, what's your emotional reaction been as school is starting and you're not going back for the first time in a long time? I know that's not an easy...
Relief.
Yeah. Or maybe it is easy.
It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. There is that hard thing of, man, I don't get to see my students that I've watched grow over the years. I'm not seeing my coworkers that I've built relationships and bonds with. But at the same time, like, this is something I've wanted for a really long time. So I'm incredibly humbled and blessed to be able to say, hey, I can take the year off and see if this is something we can manage, and just kind of jump all in before making another life change, you know, because we're going from 1 salary to 2 salary, and with my husband's blessing, I can share that I actually made more money than him. So that was a little even more scarier, saying, okay, we're losing a big chunk, but, you know, so there is these like highs and lows, but I think I'm more on the high right now of just, hey, I get to stay home with my kid. I get to love on my daughter. I get to do things with her that I didn't get to do with Audie. So it's just a time of like rejoicing and a little bit of sorrow and sadness, but mostly just rejoicing and being blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you share a little bit of Audie's story and why it's so significant for you that you get to be with Lennox and stay home with Lennox?
So Rob and I got pregnant like 5 months after we got married. And at our 10-week ultrasound, we were told that she was an ectopic pregnancy. And through a lot of prayer and wisdom and guidance, we actually went in to have the pregnancy removed because we had known others who had ectopic pregnancies but didn't know it, and it ruptured and they almost passed and they almost died themselves. So we knew the severity of it, and when they got in for surgery, they realized that it wasn't ectopic, that she was actually in a second uterus. That I didn't know I had. And Rob will tell you, I didn't know you had one, so... So that was interesting, the doctor coming out and telling him that. And then talking with the doctors, there was just a lot of unknowns our whole pregnancy. So it kind of started from that week on of, we're going to monitor you really closely and you may make it to 27 weeks, you know, and we got to 27 weeks and it was like, nope, you've got 2 more weeks. And it just kept going and she kept growing and my uterus kept expanding and everything looked awesome. And it was probably, if you didn't know any of the backstory and how much we were being looked at and prayed for, it was a very normal pregnancy, but it was an emotional roller coaster. There was highs and lows constantly. A month before she was born, I started some preterm labor, but it pretty much subsided. It was like a half a day and I was under monitoring and then everything canceled out and we went on and life was great. My water broke at 39 and a half weeks, and then all of a sudden we found ourselves in the hospital and I'm not having contractions, but her heart rate was great. She's moving all over the place. I swear she was having a party in there. So they hooked me up to some Pitocin, and about 24 hours later I got to start pushing. and everything was great. We pushed for 2.5 hours, and her heartbeat was strong, and it's a weird sensation pushing and feeling her move on the outside or in my belly. And with 2 pushes left, we lost her heart rate. And there really wasn't concern at the time because the doctors were saying, you know, the monitor might have slipped. She's almost out. This kind of thing happens all the time. They were not really concerned yet. And when her head came out, they already had NICU on the way. They knew something was wrong. And everyone was in total shock. The doctors, the nurses, they worked on Audie for about 20 minutes with no successful effort of regaining her heartbeat or getting her to take a breath. So after about 20 to 25 minutes of working on her, they told us that there was nothing else they could do for her. So so after that, I had to go through some more testing just because they wanted to know everything that was going on in my body because so much was questionable at that point. You know, and it provided some answers, and there was nothing wrong with my body that caused the outcome that it did. You know, there really is no answer from what they can see. They have speculations, but nothing guaranteed. So, we were then given the blessing to start trying again shortly after, and then we found out we were pregnant, and it was really exciting, and it was awesome to share with everyone and to go through this pregnancy being prayed for even more, and just having the opportunity to share with others, you know, the whole journey. And then when she was here, when Lennox was here, she went into labor on her own, which was an answer to prayer, and she was breech, so she was a C-section. And we had everybody in the operating room that we wanted. All the nurses, the NICU doctors, the OB. So it was just really sweet to welcome Lennox into the world by the same people who cared for her big sister in such a way that was almost just redeeming for them also. So, you know, the past 15 months is just, even longer if you count her pregnancy, has just kind of been a whirlwind for us. And it was a relief to have work to go back to after Audie was born, because she was born in May and then work started in September. And it was like, okay, I needed it at the time. That alone was a little therapeutic. So now to be able to be home with Lennox, it's kind of the opposite way of being therapeutic of, okay, I really can cherish the time with her. And even in those hard moments of not being able to figure out what she wants, it's like, these are things that I wanted, and these are things I wanted with your big sister, but I get to love on you in this way. And I don't know, I think I cherish them maybe a little bit more now than I would have if we hadn't been through what we've been through.
And she is the happiest, squishiest little baby.
She is a chunk.
She was invited tonight to the live podcast event, but she kind of blew us off. So I think I'll forgive her one day. But
she joined boys' night instead.
So Jen, what has your emotional reaction been to adding more to your life instead of simplifying?
So lots of emotions. I feel like I'm all over the place all the time. So much excitement, starting something new. And I love the excitement of beginning something and learning how to create a process for it and figuring out what works for us. But then also a lot of chaos. You know, there's 3 little kids under 5 under our roof and almost 1,000 pieces of clothing. And juggling everything sometimes, I'm like, what am I doing? But it always, by the end of the day, when the kids are in bed and we've had a crazy day, I think this is exactly what I should be doing. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you're doing something that you love. So, it's been a little bit hard adjusting to 3 children. It's a lot to deal with when you are trying to take care of a newborn and then also care for toddlers who need you every second of the day. So every day I just have to pray and say, I'm giving this day to you, God, because I could never do it with my own strength.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what would you what would you each say is the biggest struggle of the season that you're in right now?
I think really trusting the Lord right now in not the decision that we've made, but how things will be provided for. I mean, we were very wise in budgeting beforehand, and we're budgeting now. I think just that financial aspect of we're taking away a really huge chunk, which was a really big safety net, really. And, you know, we kind of always planned to be able to live life on just one of our salaries, but now we actually have to do it. So what is this going to look like, you know? And
is that scary?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, it is at times. Because then my mind goes to, oh, well, I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. So, well, this stinks. Did we really make the right decision? And then it's like, duh, because I get to spend all day with my daughter and get to just really invest in our family and, you know, nurture her and really kind of trust God in a way that neither one of us have been forced into trusting God before. And clearly he's just provided time and time again for the two of us through both of our lives individually and as a couple. Even after losing Audie, just to see how big God really was, and just how he moved in different people's hearts and lives. And, you know, to think like, well, duh, he's shown up in every other time of our life. Why isn't he going to show up now? And why am I reverting back to, you know, this untrust of, okay, well, I don't know if you can actually do it, God. But in my heart, I'm like, no, I know you can, because you've proven it over and over, and your word says so.
Yeah, it's still so hard. It feels like it's a new, like, relearning every single time.
Yeah. And it's really kind of learning, too, like, is that a want or is that a need? And can I live without my need or my wants? Because I need my needs. So.
It's hard. What do you think?
My biggest struggle is just with time management and figuring out how much, like, I want to be doing my business all the time because it's so fun and brings me so much joy, but then my children also bring me so much joy most of the time.
And all the mothers said amen.
Yeah. So, just making sure that I devote certain amounts of time a day to my business, but then also when I'm with my girls, being there 100% and not being on my phone or checking email or doing anything, but just being present with them. That has been my biggest challenge, that I put on myself as well, that I want to be there for them. And that's been hard because I want to give 100% to everything. And sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
Like dishes.
Right.
And laundry.
Yeah.
0%.
Yeah. I think there's a clean piece of clothes in there somewhere.
And you know what? I have 1,000 pieces of clothing in my house, so I can just go pick a new outfit.
You never have to do laundry
I
again.
totally do.
I'm coming over.
So I've been using this definition on the podcast of grace, just when good things happen during really difficult and stressful times. So would you both say that you've seen grace in this season? And if you have, what has that looked like?
Yeah, I mean, just in being able to hear Lennox's first cry. I mean, that was just such joy and such a blessing, because that's one thing we never got with Audie. So to hear that and to be like, oh, okay, Lord, because there's always that holding the breath, like, all right, are we going to repeat what we've been through? You know, there's nothing that says we're exempt from loss again. And I think just to see how God has worked through other people's lives through our story and just through what he's done. And I mean, to hear from different people that I didn't even know, like, we're so excited to hear you're pregnant again. You guys haven't given up hope. And it's just wonderful. We were like, you knew you were pregnant the first time? I don't even know who you are. But yeah, it's been awesome to just see how God has worked, and just how much realer he has become through all of this to both of us. So I think, does that work? Is that a good
It's not a quiz. Definitely not a quiz. What do you think, Jen?
So, when I decided to start this business, it was actually on the day of the anniversary of my dad passing. It was 1 year later, and I decided I wanted a change, and I wanted to do something new and exciting in the next year. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to do this, and I think he would have been my biggest supporter for sure.
He would have been wearing those leggings while he made his cookies.
But I am constantly thinking about him. I used to have another small business doing things with fabric, so crib bedding and pillows and things like that. And he was right there sewing pillows for me when I was busy. And I just know that he would have been, rehanging clothes or taking pictures for me or doing something like that. Mm-hmm. And so when I see the girls excited about helping me, I can kind of see him in that, and that has been really special. We also have this family jar where whenever we sell one piece of clothing, then we take a quarter and we put it in the family jar, and the girls get to count the quarters after a Lula party, they call them, and they get to put them in the jar, and then when the jar fills up, we're going to do something special as a family. So that has been a really fun thing to do with them, and they just light up when I say, we get to put 25 quarters in the jar, and it's been fun to make this business a family thing, and to just all work together. So
yeah, because you're using it partially as homeschooling too, right?
Yeah.
Like you have. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm starting homeschooling this fall as well.
Just because Jen doesn't have enough on her plate.
Yeah. So that, there's a lot of fear in that too. I know it's just kindergarten, but you just don't want to mess up, right? I'm like, I hope I have enough planned, and I know that I'll overplan, and that'll be fine. But yeah, so we're starting homeschooling, and there's just a lot of excitement with that. Hannah is so excited to learn to read, so
That's
that
awesome.
is just a really fun area where I'm just excited about. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you, Nina, how do you feel like you're living more bravely and authentically as a result of both Audie's story and Lennox's story, and now kind of being in this new season of doing something a little different?
I think in part just being able to share the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been one like, Lord, I don't know if I have much of a testimony, and really timid about sharing the story that I do have in my relationship with the Lord. And living out Audie's pregnancy and Lennox's pregnancy, there really was nothing that was secret to anybody. All the way down to my anatomy. So so I think just being able to live out and to really just truly and firmly stand on God's grace and his gospel and say, I am where I am today because of who God is and because of what he's done for me, has been really cool, and almost an answer to prayer. And just because, you're always thinking, all right, well, how can I share my story today? And you meet a random person in the grocery store with, your newborn child, and they're like, oh, is this your first? And I'm like, no, actually, it's my second. They're like, oh, where's the first? I'm like, well, she's in heaven.
Yeah.
And we lost her 15 months ago. And just to be able to share a little glimpse of she's in heaven because Jesus died on the cross, and that's how I know I'm going to see her again. And, that's been really cool to just be able to live that out. Yeah.
How about you, Jen?
I feel like I've been able to take a step back and look at my life and look at all of the different hats that I'm currently wearing, and just reflect on that and realize that the only way I can do all of it is with God's help. I have to get up every day and say, God, help me get through this day, and show me what you want me to do with this day. Because if I did it on my own strength, then I would be a complete mess by noon.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to really trust in Him and give the mundane to Him every day. And yeah, I feel like and just praying more and just talking to God throughout the day and asking for help has been a really neat experience. So
Yeah. Nina, how would you encourage someone who has spent most of their life working, and is now making a change where work is not their primary identity or where the bulk of their time is going? How would you encourage them in that transition?
Take it moment by moment. I had this expectation that staying at home, I'd be able to care for Lennox, and I'd be able to walk the dog, and I'd be able to craft as much as I want. And I saw it as like this opportunity to just be like super mom. And you know, there's been so many moments where it's like, just get through the next 5 minutes. That's it, you know, and to just cherish the times, because they're going to be over so fast. I look at her now and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so different. You're 5 weeks old. You've put on 3 pounds. You've grown 3 inches. You're a chunk. But
She's the squishiest little chunk, though.
you know, but it's going to go by so fast. And, yeah, so I think just enjoying the moments and taking it moment by moment, because even through the hard, like, to think if how my day Friday started with as rough as it was, and it ended so sweet on Friday with, you know, Rob taking her, and I got a nap, and we went out and got some ice cream, and yeah, so it was just really, really sweet, you know, because it's going to change before you think it will.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Jen? How would you encourage the person who is taking on more?
Well, I would encourage them to just pray about it first. And I think when I decided to do LuLaRoe and add that to our family, it was Peter's idea, and I said, no, like, I can't even think about adding something else. It would be fun, but I'm not that interested. But then I prayed about it more and more, and I just feel like it will be the right decision for our family, because it will enable me to stay home and not do OT work, and be home to homeschool and to do those things that I want. And so I would just encourage others to pray about it and then go for it. If it's something that you want to do that you think will make your life better, then give it to the Lord and jump right in.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for being so brave tonight and sharing this little bit. Real quick before we go, I want to give people a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So I have 4 quick questions. Okay. First thing that comes to your head. Ready? All right. What are you loving right now?
Sleep.
Me too.
Okay, sleep.
'Cause we have newborns.
Yeah, they both have small
And I've never
infants.
appreciated it before, so this is like a real new love.
Okay, second, what is your current favorite food?
Anything I can get my hands on.
Nursing moms.
Chipotle.
Oh, the good one.
Things I don't have to make myself.
Yeah, right. What are you doing to take care of yourself?
Taking a shower.
Good answer. Sure, Rob appreciates that.
Yes. I feel like we could kind of have the same answers, but I'm going to try to think of something different. I took a bath the other day.
Great job. With lots of bubbles?
Yes.
Awesome. And the last question is, what are you doing to be brave?
Oh.
They're both looking at me with this, like, what are you doing to me face?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think just this new phase of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just survival is my first
Yeah.
instinct. Like, just getting through the day is being brave, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Brave, and we've talked about it before. Brave is not this like big world changing, like, you know, riding off into the sunset thing. But brave is just like being consistent and knowing what you want and going for it. So I'm proud of you guys. They both like were not pleased with me when I asked them to do this. But they did it and we got through it. So, yeah, awesome. Thanks. All right, clap for them. So it's actually 9:30 already. Wasn't that just awesome? I just love listening to different people's stories and hearing what's going on in their lives and the way that grace is showing up. Don't forget to shop karamacollection.com. That's Karama collection.com. It'll be in the show notes, and use coupon code McCoy16SS through the month of September, and you'll get 15% off your order. The stuff they have is beautiful. I think I have several different pieces of jewelry. I have a scarf that I love. Everything is just really amazing. So definitely go check them out. Support the company. Support the partnership between me and the company, because I'm really excited to see what's in store for us next and how we can support artisans around the continent of Africa. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week on the podcast. I'm not exactly sure which episode it'll be next week, so it'll be a surprise. All right, see you then. Bye. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're there, please rate, review, and share Stories of Unfolding Grace. When you give it 5 stars, it goes a huge way in helping other people find the podcasts by increasing my ranking. If you're interested in sharing your own story of unfolding grace, head to my blog, beckylmccoy.com/submissions. I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks again for joining me. I'm looking forward to next week.